All right, done. Well, thanks. Yeah, not sure you got that thought experiment, but regardless, I'll just describe it again because in the room get some context. The point is, let's say you have an airplane and you're at the equator, and then you head south, right? But you're not aiming at any airport. You just head south and fly.
You mean at the North Pole, heading south?
No, I mean the equator.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you start at the equator, you just go north or south, or whatever. Let's say let's go south. Okay, if you don't do anything, you just fly south and you don't try to follow any great circle route. You're not aiming at any point. And to simplify, let's say there's no wind in the atmosphere, so the air is completely lockstep with the Earth. Then of course your path is going to be deflected eastwards, right?
So are you heading south, or are you simply starting south and flying straight?
Exactly. So I'm just I'm heading south at the beginning of the flight, and then I just fly in
with
just
level
continue.
wings, right? With level wings through still air.
Exactly. So I'm not trying to aim at any point. I'm not taking any turns. I'm just letting, let's say, the wind carry me, which of course there's no wind, but you get the point.
But I think you don't have to not steer south. If your nose keeps pointing on the South Pole, you would still end up in the diagonal trajectory.
Yeah, I think he's trying to make another point, but let's hear him out. Bacon and I have been talking about this, and I know he has some good ideas.
Oh, we can go with a drone, I think, here. So doesn't matter. So the point is, if we don't do anything, we're not aiming at any point. We just let it go. Then, of course, if we're spinning as we move south from the equator, we're going to carry some of that tangential momentum, which is larger than the latitude that we are over. So we should deflect eastwards as we move from the equator south or north. Same thing. Okay, now we land at some point. So let's say we went down all the way to the tropic of Capricorn, and where the airplane landed, let's say we then built an airport there. So we built an airport where the airplane got by just flying without trying to follow a grid circle route or without trying to compensate for Coriolis. Okay, now that the airport is built, what happens if we try doing it again? But now we do have a point that we're aiming at. So we start on the same point at the equator, and we try to get to that same airport that we just built. If we follow a grid circle route, naturally Coriolis would take us out of the grid circle route path. So we're going to have to go against Coriolis along the path to be able to follow the grid circle route. If we do that, are we getting there by spending more or less fuel following the grid circle route compared to that first path that brought us to that point?
So, like,
yeah.
Can I just
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead, and then I'd like to respond too.
Hold on real quick.
Jeremy, you're roboting.
That's not even. I don't. All right.
Well, give it a try. I think we can understand.
Right? Do you want to? So maybe I'll go.
Yeah, you're good. You're good, Jeremy. Guys, give him a second. He's a little bit lag, but he sounds clear.
Yeah, I want to give Jeremy a shot here.
Okay.
Okay, I have a scenario for John right when this scenario is over. And B, it's not about using less fuel, it's about the shortest path. It doesn't have anything to do with time or fuel.
Well, my question is, I'm interested on what John would think about like fuel consumption. I think the matter of path is not that relevant. And it's way easier to sort it out than this, I think.
Can I briefly?
So, yeah, why don't you go ahead, and then I'll go snooze. Go ahead, snooze.
Yeah, just to summarize, so you're starting on the equator, and you're due to the Coriolis effect, basically are flying southeast. So the question is, if you're going from that point again northwest to your original point, does that cause a higher fuel consumption, right?
No.
I mean, if you go
I'm not
down here,
going
and that's
northeast.
just 1 second. That's the only point where this flat Earth claim of 1,000 miles per hour actually makes any sense. So you have a east speed of 1,000 miles an hour. When you go down to the Cancer of Capricorn, you still are, as we say, no real air resistance. You still are 1,000 miles an hour going east all the time while flying south. So you are ending southeast. If you're going up, you're starting with, let's say, 600 miles an hour east. But to come to your original point, you have to actually fly for a longer time or higher. You need to come up, or you need to accelerate higher to actually reach your old position.
Okay, Snooze, let Bacon and John go back and forth because you're totally missing the point of what Bacon's saying.
I think so too. I think so too. And Bacon, I just want to say, I mean, I think that was admirably, wonderfully said. The whole scenario of first just flying straight and level, letting the Coriolis curve you until you land, building an airport there, and then following a great circle path, which requires you to fly with kind of a permanent, tiny little bank in order to counter the Coriolis. Is that right?
Yes, but again, just to reinforce, I'm not talking about the path going back. I'm saying like going from the first initial point to the now build again. Like we start at point A, go to point B, and then we do it again. And now we try to follow. Yeah.
And here's what I'm pretty convinced of. I think you use less fuel and get there faster if you fly the Great Circle route with a slight bank. And here's my reasoning. You're traveling through still air all the time, right? Even though, I mean, this is the part that makes it a little hard to understand, is that in the globe model, the air is always moving with the ground, and the ground moves at different rotational speeds depending on latitude. So you really do have to focus on the fact that at every point you're flying through no wind relative to the ground. So if you fly the first path, what you're doing is you're flying a longer distance at the speed that the plane flies, whatever that means, and so you get some time. Now, when you do that same flight, but now following the Great Circle route, the only difference now you're following a shorter path once again through still air. And I believe you're traveling at the same speed because all you're doing is banking. You know, you're not like trying to go up or down, which might change your speed. You're just banked a little bit. And so when you travel the Great Circle route, you're traveling through still air, through a shorter distance with the maximum velocity of the plane. And that makes that the best path to follow.
But still, the Coriolis effect would.
Are you done with your thing, Bacon?
Right?
Hold on, Snooze, please. Snooze, hold on a second. Bacon, are you done with your thing? Because I definitely called next. So nobody's.
Okay, let me just wrap this up. Then you go
between that.
All right. So I think it's a good argument. I still not convinced. Not that it's one way or the other. I think there's reasons for both. For both paths that might make either of those paths the optimal. I really can't draw any hard conclusion. At least not only by thinking about it. They both seem like they could be the right answer. I think I'll only get there if I can run a simulation and make sure, because I think a simulation then we can't lie. As long as we apply the laws of physics correctly to a simulation, we can then make sure which path is actually better. If that makes sense. At least for me, that's my because I can't draw conclusions just by thinking about it. I think that's
just one quick thing. You do agree, I think, that in both cases the airspeed is the ground speed, right? Because there's no wind. Yeah. And so the first path really is a longer path.
Yeah, exactly. However, it's a path where you don't have to accelerate the plane in any way, but on the Great Circle route you do, because if you don't, you'll be deflected by Coriolis. So according to their argument, then the Great Circle route sounds like it's not the best. However, it's a shorter path, so you fly through less air. And if you're flying in the same speed in both scenarios, then sounds like the second one actually now would be the fastest.
Well, that's what I think. I think it's really clear that in both cases, the plane travels at the same speed. So the second one is better because it's a shorter path.
Oh, maybe.
All right, you good? You good, Bake? Oh, you're still going.
Sorry. Yeah, just okay. I know you you don't want to go in that direction. I mean,
I'm itching to get in, but go ahead. I can wait. Yeah, go ahead.
That's because you want to change the scenario. I think there's a lot to get from this scenario. But that's fine. We can just be patient.
You guys are deep in this one. Might as well finish this at least whenever it's completed.
Well, yeah, I just want to add one thing then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, maybe the two questions of how much fuel you save and how quickly you get there, they might not necessarily be the same. Maybe the Great Circle route is the faster, but it might be the one that consumes more fuel because it requires you to accelerate more to keep that speed, because now you have to counteract Coriolis. So I
can imagine that. Yeah, I think that's possible, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm done. Go ahead, Jeremy. Maybe John wants to say something before I go.
No, I think that's really it. I was just going to say that Jeremy got me to thinking about this the other night, and I did. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, and Bacon has been really helpful in helping me think about it. And I think I'm now. It's basically just that last thing. I do think it's possible because if you're flying with a constant bank, then it probably requires a little more fuel because you're essentially having to get a little more lift. So I think that might be it. But I don't know. I'm not convinced. I think it's possible that it makes no difference.
Yeah.
It would definitely make a difference. Yeah. All right. So, John, are you saying the shortest path on the globe is when you do a Great Circle route?
You're in the Matrix, Jeremy.
Hold on.
I think that the shortest and the fastest path is a Great Circle, as long as you are not counting effect wind speeds due to Coriolis.
Yeah, that's right. Winds obviously change.
Am I good now?
No, you're still bad.
I'm not good.
No, you might be fine.
Okay.
At the moment, it's
okay.
okay.
I'm going outside in a t-shirt. I'm going outside in a t-shirt. How about now?
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, you're
good.
I'm good now. Okay. John, are you saying the shortest path is a Great Circle route in the inertial frame?
No, I'm saying it's the Great Circle route on the rotating Earth. It's the Great Circle route that you get when you just calculate the Great Circle.
So you're saying the non-inertial frame, the Great Circle route and the non-inertial frame, you're saying that's the shortest path?
Just to be clear, I mean the Great Circle that you get when you take the starting point and the ending point, and you just simply figure out what the Great Circle is between those 2 points. Yeah, as if the Earth weren't rotating.
John, just for clarity, are you saying the Great Circle route in the non-inertial frame, you're saying that's the shortest path?
Yeah, over the surface.
Yes,
Great Circle over the surface.
John, that's for John. John, you there?
Yeah, he's muted.
I'm sorry, I was answering you, and I thought no.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the Great Circle route that you get by taking a globe and stretching a string from the starting to the ending point, right? That
John, and is the shortest path the Great Circle route in the non-inertial frame? Yes or no?
So I just think that there's potential for misunderstanding. That's why I want to say it's just forget about the rotation. It's just the Great Circle path from the start to the end.
You can't answer my thing, or I don't
No,
know.
I can answer it, but I just think people will potentially misunderstand it. Take a globe, take a piece of
I'm
string,
gonna
stretch it
understand,
from Los
John. I'm gonna
Angeles to
understand.
Paris,
You're
that
talking to
route.
me, John. You're talking to me. I'm gonna understand. Is the shortest path the Great Circle Route and the non-inertial frame? Is that the shortest path? Yes or no?
I think actually I don't even know for sure what you mean by that. Do you not know what I mean when I say take a globe, stretch a string from Los Angeles to Paris? That route. That's the route I'm talking about.
Yeah. Can I
I need to
try
know
to
which frame you
translate
think
what
it's
Jeremy's
happening in,
saying to
though,
you?
because
Jeremy, are you referring to shortest from the way or shortest from the time? Like
path,
the fastest path or the shortest? Okay.
Distance.
The shortest path.
John, when Jeremy asks you if it's on the non-inertial frame, the non-inertial frame he means is that you ignore that Earth is rotating. You just think about the Earth as stationary. That great circle route. That's what he's referring to. He's
right. I would think that's what he meant, but I just think there's potential for misunderstanding. That's why I want to say it in a way that's perfectly clear. Just grab a globe
John,
and figure out the great circle. Yeah.
Bacon translate. What's his answer? Is it the shortest path in the non-inertial frame or the inertial frame?
Yeah, the non-inertial, the one that flies with the atmosphere.
So you're saying the shortest path when it comes to Coriolis, the shortest path would be the straight line, not turning left or right in the non-inertial frame. Okay, I have a scenario that's going to absolutely debunk the hell out of that. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, we have a dot on the ground in a circle. The dot is the center. Okay. There's a dot in the center of a circle. You with me? It's very simple.
Okay. Is this a big circle, like a 1,000-mile circle or something?
1 meter. 1 meter.
1 meter. Okay.
1 meter. You want to take the shortest path from the center to the outskirts of the circle. Right? You're not going to turn at all. Is that right? You're not going to put any turning forces. You're not going to bank. You're not going to strafe. I don't know. All the words that mean turning. You're not going to turn at all, right? You're just going to go left or right.
Are you an ant?
You're not going to turn left or right.
Are you an ant crawling from the center out to the circle?
It's a drone. Sorry, it's a drone hovering above the center, and it wants to get to the edge.
But there's no wind, right? There's no wind.
There's no wind.
Okay.
Yep. There's no Coriolis either. We're at the equator. There's no Coriolis. There's no wind. What's he going to do? He's not going to bank turning forces, turn. He's not going to do any of that, right? He's just going to go in a straight line to the edge of the circle. Is that correct? That would be the shortest path?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So
that is the shortest path. So we know what's the shortest path to get to the edge of the circle. We know that. Now, if you put a merry-go-round in the center of the merry-go-round is the dot, and the circumference of the merry-go-round is on top of the circumference of the circle, and I start spinning the merry-go-round, are you going to do something different to get to the edge? Or are you going to do the same thing you did before?
Is there wind if this drone is above the merry-go-round trying to hover? Does it feel a wind? No wind. So the air is moving with the merry-go-round, right?
This is just the Coriolis effect. No, there's no wind.
No.
There's nothing going on. You still want to do the same thing you did before.
Okay, no wind, but I just want to be clear. No wind means that the air is moving with the surface of the merry-go-round.
No, that is not what wind means. Wind means
that's what it means
0 mile
to me.
per hour. No, you don't know what wind is. Wind is the difference between the ground in your model. The wind is the difference between the ground speed and the airspeed. That's not
exactly.
Happening right
That's right. Exactly. And so the merry-go-round is the ground now. The merry-go-round is the ground
now. It's not the ground. It's a merry-go-round. It's not the ground. It's a merry-go-round.
Okay. All right. So it's a different situation. All right. Fine. I can answer this question.
I know. I'm trying to explain it in the very simplistic terms that they would explain the Coriolis effect to a child and how the path works. It's just a merry-go-round, bro. That's it. There's no wind.
Well, no, but it's important that there's no wind relative to the ground, not relative to the merry-go-round. There is wind. If you tried to hover above a point on the merry-go-round, you would fail unless you started to bank, started to turn forward.
We're not doing that.
Wind, right?
It's a good thing we're not doing that. We're not doing that, and there's no wind.
Well, wait a minute. I think
handle
you
this
just,
or
no.
no? It's pretty
If
simple.
you wanted to hover above a point halfway out to the circumference, you would find the merry-go-round turning underneath you, right?
We don't want to do that. That's not
You
what's
don't
happening.
want to
It's not
do that,
relevant.
but
It's not
you have to
relevant for
tell
this
me whether
scenario
we
at all.
do
John,
do
please, man,
that or
please.
not.
It's not relevant for you. Can't handle this. Obviously, you can't handle a high school explanation on how the Coriolis effect works. I guess.
Just asking for details. If I try to hover
There's no
above the
wind. We're not doing
merry-go-round,
that.
if I
We're
try
not
to
doing that.
hover, if I try to
Not.
hover above, you're not doing that, but I'm going to do this if you want to proceed. If I try to hover above a point on the merry-go-round, are you saying that I will be able to do that by just hovering, or will I have to do something to keep up with the merry-go-round? In other words, is there a wind relative to the merry-go-round or not?
If you hover above the center point of a merry-go-round, somewhere in the middle between the radius and the circumference,
You're
anywhere
being
not in the radius,
disingenuous
the
now.
ground will
I'm talking
deviate
about a
underneath
point
you.
other than the center of the merry-go-round. If you
I
try to
know. I'm
hover,
clarifying. Why did you?
okay.
Can you guys hear me?
John, stop interrupting him, please, man. Come on.
Hey, I got a question.
How do you know if
Anywhere not
No,
in the
that's not
center.
time for a question now. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Anywhere that's not in the center, if you try to hover above the merry-go-round, it will fly right by.
Thank
It'll
you.
rotate underneath you. Okay. Now back to the scenario because that had nothing to do with the scenario. You have a drone. You're hovering in the center. You want to get to the edge. Like this was a big distraction from the shit that I don't know. I feel like I got to start over. Or do you understand the first part I laid out, or do we have to run this
Now
all
I
back
do
or
that you
what?
finally answered my question. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you're hovering at the center. You want to get to the edge. Same scenario as before, only except now something's rotating under you. Are you going to do anything different than you did the first time?
No.
To take the shortest path. You're going to do the same thing.
Right.
Okay. That tells you that okay, and that will trace out what it would trace out is in the inertial frame, that would trace out a line where it doesn't deviate left or right. And in the non-inertial frame, because this is how Coriolis works, in the non-inertial frame, it traces out a line that is deviating left or right. That's how Coriolis works.
That's right.
You understand that?
Totally
Okay,
with you. Yep.
Okay, so now if now we're on the North Pole, me and you have a plane. You want to get to the equator with the shortest distance possible. You're not, remember, just Coriolis, there's no wind, zero wind. Same thing.
It's not the same thing because
factor.
the air is, it's not the same thing because the air is moving with the rotating Earth.
I know, but this is the Coriolis effect, though. It doesn't matter what's going on. You have two frames, non-inertial and inertial. Those are the two frames we have to work with. And in this scenario, we're not going to have to worry about any wind speed that the plane is going to have to turn left or right for, okay? Can you handle this?
Okay, you might not, but I'll tell you, a pilot's going to worry about 1,000-mile-per-hour wind.
There is no wind. There's zero wind. If you check with air traffic control, the newscast, Fox News, they're all going to say there's zero wind this day. Amazing. It's a record, zero wind on Earth this
And that's
day.
because the air moves with the Earth, unlike the merry-go-round.
That's what's going on. I know it's different because now the air is rotating, but it doesn't matter. There's no wind that the pilot has to contend with. There's zero wind. Do you understand that or no?
I do, but that means that the pilot can't fly the path I'm imagining that you're going to ask me to have it fly. A pilot can't do. Go ahead and give me the path you want. I'm going to guess it's going to be a path that can't be flown.
It absolutely is a path that can be flown. We're talking about you can't just fly south. I can't just jump in a plane and fly directly south.
Yeah, you can. And if you do, you will end up at a place on the same line of longitude.
No, you won't. I just previous to this described how it worked. If you go straight in the inertial frame, that will be a curved left or right path in the non-inertial frame. That means
Not
not a
if
line of
not if
longitude, because
there's
those aren't
not
curving.
if the
Because those
air
aren't
is
curving left to right.
moving. Not
Oh, I
if the
almost got it out.
air
I
is
almost did it.
moving with respect to the ground. If you put a highway that goes straight south from the North Pole to the equator, and you drive along that highway, you will drive straight south the whole time, and you will travel the shortest distance from the North Pole to the equator.
Can I?
John, I'm just gonna
that's
have to back out
Can I
because
try to
you
make
that's the
clearly have
same. And by the
demonstrated it.
way, that's the
Hold on, man.
same
Hold
path
on.
that the plane will fly because there's no wind.
Okay, I don't know what else to do here. You clearly don't understand how the frames translate and which line's going to be curving and which line's not going to be curving. So I'm just gonna back out.
No,
Wait,
I don't
you
think
don't get
you.
to just
Hang on.
lob an insult when you're wrong about your premise and then leave. I mean, you do get to do
You're,
that, but I just want people to recognize that that's what you're
you're just
doing.
demonstrating. It's been demonstrated that you don't know which line's going to turn and which line isn't going to turn when it comes
No,
to
you're
Can
just
I
you're
correlation.
step
just
in?
doing the same thing. You're lobbing an insult and then leaving. I do understand this
Oh,
very
okay.
well.
If you
Can I step
understand
in?
it, then you understand. Hold on. If you understand it, then you would understand that if you go straight in the plane and you don't turn the plane and you don't put any turning forces or bank on the plane at all and just fly straight and there's no wind, that is a straight line in the non-inertial frame, not turning left or right. That means it has to curve in the non-inertial frame. You have to have a curving line. You can't have a line of longitude. Impossible.
Can I try to steelman Jeremy's point to John? I think you guys might be talking past.
I think I could probably do it too, but yeah, you'll probably do it better. So go ahead, Bacon.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I've talked about this scenario with Jeremy before, so I think I understand what he's trying to say. Okay, so let's just ignore wind for a second. Let's say this is actually a drone that flies, I don't know, with magnetism, something that doesn't interact with the atmosphere. So it's just a vacuum. We don't have air. And then we have a drone in the middle of a spinning disk, and the drone wants to get to the edge, right? So if the drone leaves the center and makes what on the inertial frame is a straight line, that's the shortest path in the inertial frame, right? Because from the inertial frame's point of view, that was a straight line path from the center to the edge. For the rotating frame that is below the hovering drone, that was actually a spiral path, right? So for the rotating frame, that path was actually much longer than a straight line path. So a straight line path for the rotating frame would be a spiral, but that would be now a longer path in a non-inertial frame. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you have to think about the distance over ground or the distance in the air. If the merry-go-round is turning, the distance over ground is way longer, but the distance in the air is short.
Yeah, I think the whole point here is that we have to make the distinction that the length of the travel distance is frame dependent, right? So asking which one is the shortest is not a meaningful question.
Ah, nice. I think that's right. I just got a little insight from that. That's a good way to think about it too.
It's the same
Agreed, Jeremy?
you're traveling north and northeast, for example. No, sorry, northwest, and then you look from the outside, northwest traveling to two different points that are 1,000 miles apart on the Earth is way shorter looking from the outside than going east. So going east is always longer because the Earth is turning with you, so you are traveling more total difference looking from the outside.
Right. And the only relevant question for the airlines is what ground path will get me to my destination fastest?
Or with less fuel consumption, because those might not be the same.
Might
that's
not be,
exactly
right.
the point. That's exactly the point why the flight routes, for example, from Europe to America is different than from America to Europe.
That's
So they are
mostly
not
winds, I
flying.
think. I think that's
Yes, yes.
mostly winds.
Yeah, absolutely. And but this is still, it's not so the most efficient is not the Great Circle necessarily due to airspeeds.
Right. The winds make a complicating factor, but I think that's the only reason that east-west flights, especially transatlantic, when you've got, different jet stream, prevailing jet stream things, you'll see in any given day, they follow whatever's the best path, right? And they can calculate that. So they do fly the best path.
By the way, I posted a video of two science communication podcasters here from Germany. It's called Coriolis in the Hood. They just made this on the merry-go-round with a water gun, and you can directly see how it actually works, and that as the water goes to the inner part of the merry-go-round, it gets kind of deflected. I can post it again, then it's directly at the bottom.
Okay, so I think Bacon, I was a little busy just now, but did Bacon just explain to you about if you don't turn in the inertial frame, that it will be a curved path in the non-inertial frame?
Yeah, he didn't need to do that. I understood that.
Okay, so you
He
realize
did
that
give
if
me
you're
an
going over
insight.
Earth,
I think he
hold
did
on,
give me
Steve.
an insight. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So you realize if you were traveling over Earth and not turning in the inertial frame, that it would absolutely not be a line of longitude, because those don't turn left or right, and you would have to turn left or right if you didn't turn in the inertial frame, right?
Well, I think there's still some semantic differences between applying a turning force and turning. When you are traveling on the Earth in a car, you travel straight south along a line of longitude, and to do that, there is this little. You have to kind of apply a little bit of a force in one direction to counter the Coriolis force, but you do that without even noticing it. Same thing with a plane. If there's no wind, you're going to just follow that road. You're going to follow that road because that will get you from your starting point to your ending point in the shortest amount of time. And that correlates to the shortest distance, I know, in the rotating frame. The important point is that it's the shortest amount of time. You fly straight to the destination.
Yeah, the one where you don't.
And to do that, you have to counter the Coriolis
That's
force.
the one where you don't. That's the one where you don't apply any turning forces, right? Remember the merry-go-round scenario. We
No,
don't
that's where you
turn. We don't
do.
apply any turning forces. Hold on, John, please.
Okay.
We're at the merry-go-round. This is just showing you how the frames work. You want to take the shortest path. You don't turn left or right. You don't apply any turning forces. You just go straight. Remember that scenario? This is the same thing. It's the Coriolis effect. You want to take the shortest path. You don't apply any turning forces. You don't turn. You don't bank. You don't do anything. There's no wind. You just go straight.
But of course, it doesn't get you to your destination if you're trying to fly to a place that's on the same line of longitude.
I
John,
know,
can I try something quickly?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeremy, have you ever driven a motorcycle? Hello?
That's what you came in to say? Seriously, bro? Come on.
Yes, that's what. Have you, SE?
Good. I'm good, SE.
Yeah, have you, Jeremy? Have you ever ridden a motorcycle?
No, SE. I'm good. I guess do take it away, SE. You keep.
Yeah, go ahead, SE. You do it.
No, it's not like that. Like, I mean, stay on topic.
Okay, for fuck's sakes, I'll do it. This is the topic. When you're driving a motorcycle and you're turning right, you have to actually apply a pushing force to the right handlebar. That pushing force would normally make the bike turn left, but it doesn't. All it does is maintain your turn to the right. That's the same thing that a plane is going to do. It's not turning left. It's just maintaining its course against the Coriolis and the wind and whatever else. Wow, that was tough.
That was it.
Fuck's sake.
So Earth is not rotating underneath an airplane.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, so it's not though. So it's always maintaining.
Who
somehow.
said that?
It's never. Well, you
Who said anything to do with? No, really? When did I say that?
That's fuzzy. We're back to square one now.
No, I've been following. I'm listening, and you're saying you're arguing for air. I mean, you're saying that there is no Earth-based Coriolis effect that's noticeable.
No, I didn't say that.
So, Chucky, you're saying the force applied was just meant to keep the plane en route. Is that what you're trying to say? Did I still hear you correctly?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
Because it is countering another force, just like the Coriolis force can be countered by adjusting to just maintain the heading. You're not turning the plane. You're not deviating from course. You're just countering these other forces in the Coriolis.
If there's a drone above the car is driving straight south on the road, on the bridge, whatever, and there's a drone directly above it, flying straight. You're saying, at what point will the car deviate from underneath the drone? Because
are they both trying to travel straight?
Well, yeah, they're going on the straight road south. Okay.
Then at no point will they deviate if you have two competent operators.
You know, in the case of the car, if you can imagine a perfect car where you hold on. Can I? Yeah,
guys, go on mute if you're not talking because somebody's hot micing there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Fuzzy. Fuzzy, you have a horrible. Sorry.
If you imagine a perfect car which holds its wheels exactly straight, right? That car will follow a straight line, even if there are lateral forces acting on it. You don't even have to turn the wheel. You might have to maintain a force on the steering wheel because the wind or whatever that force is will want to make the car start turning, and you might have to hold those wheels straight. But if those wheels are straight, the car will travel along a straight line.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Same with the drone operator. All they have to do is hover above the car at the start and then just press forward. We're going to hope it's on a non-windy day where there's not really any kind of, wind. It's just straight.
Right.
That's all you got to do. At some point, At what point will the car deviate from out underneath the drone because the Earth is rotating underneath the drone?
Is the operator just pressing up or on the joystick, or is he trying to keep it straight?
Yeah, just
this is such a theoretical question because
just
drones
forward.
Yeah,